Foster and Friends is presented by the River City Distillery in Radford, makers of Wynn Vodka. Once again, here's Bud and Mac.
Welcome in, it's Foster and Friends, and we just talked about this guy, and you just heard the bump coming in, where Billy Ray was promoting his website. They cover it all. Sons of Saturday, one of the more listened to, one of the more popular podcasts out there. And I will say, Billy, before Bud really introduces you, I will say, one of the more professional ones that are being done. You guys know what you're talking about. So welcome to the show. And Bud, I'll let you do the honors.
Yeah. Always one of my favorite people when he was on campus here. Billy played on the other side of the ball from me, but we got a chance to see each other every day, communicated regularly every day. Just extremely intelligent, good people. Doesn't surprise me that he's having the success he has, but just one of my all-time favorite players and favorite people. So Billy, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you. Good to see your face. You have been so kind for us when we broke the James Franklin story, how it all came about. But also I just want to go on record and say thank you. And you've been so kind to my foundation as well. I know we did a kickoff. You guys had a big kickoff in Atlanta, but it let us participate in that. And but thank you for all you're doing for Foster and Friends and what you've done for the Lunch Pail Defense Foundation.
Oh, well, likewise. I could say, first of all, thank you for the amazing introduction. And no, I think what's really unique is Virginia Tech, and Coach Franklin's going to get to learn this as he goes along, is I have a lot of friends who have gone to big schools, gone to Iowa, gone to Rutgers, gone to, I'm not going to name much schools by name, but the connective tissue and the community and everybody pouring themselves back into the Blacksburg region. I want to tip my cap to everything that you've done. And that gravitational pull of the love and the community from Virginia Tech has been what's kept me rooted and wanting to be involved in the Virginia Tech community. So cheers to you as well for all you're doing for the New River Valley.
And that's what's been so fun about this show is that when Bud and I first talked about it, we said, can a Wahoo, and Bud and I have been friends for years, but can a Wahoo and a Hokie coexist? Well, we're going to wrap up 3 years in the end of this month. So we think we're okay.
Yep. Well, congratulations on an amazing weekend. I was going into the game, and I'm doing some chirping on the way in, and there's some chirping going on the way out. And I'm just reminding everybody, I'm like, look, it's been so fun to feel the way that you guys feel right now for the last 20 years.
I was going to say,
year.
Yes, since Reagan was president.
but look, I say this about Auburn football and Alabama football, and I say it about Virginia basketball and Virginia Tech basketball. If y'all are good, it's going to force us to be better. So yeah. I want to win that game every single year, but I would love to get to a point where the best game that we play every single year is here in the Commonwealth, and we're playing that game and there's big stakes. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting moving forward.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Billy, and you remember back in the day there were some recruiting battles, but the state of Virginia and college football will be better when we have the two big universities in the state of Virginia are competing at the highest level, and the game matters. Like it used to. That mattered. You were playing, two top 20 type football programs. It mattered. When we were recruiting, you were recruiting two top 20 football programs. There was a rivalry there in recruiting, and it carried over onto the football field. And it was a big game on Saturday, and I'm excited with what, I told this to Mac earlier in the segment. I'm pulling for Virginia in this game, but like you said, I'm excited for the future at Virginia Tech with James Franklin and what this is going to do for the state of Virginia football wise and the Mid-Atlantic. You're a part of that. We were always recruited Jersey heavy. I know you're a Jersey guy, but that's always been a primary area for us. But it's good to get these two teams back to where they were, and it's exciting times ahead. So, let me ask you this: what decided for you? When did you want to do this podcast? Because you've always had a gift for gab. You've always been, you have, man. You've been one of those guys. You could tell me a story, and then you'd have to go run a series offensively, and then come back and finish the story.
But I'll bring.
I mean?
Hold on. I gotta go block. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll be right back, Coach. I'll finish that. And dude, don't
Oh,
blitz.
man.
Hey, don't blitz on third down. Okay. But,
I was,
anyway, what kind of got you guys, you and your group, like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do a podcast, and we're going to elevate Virginia Tech. You know?
Yeah, I not to steal a line from Josh Pate, but it really spoke to me. Josh Pate, I think, is one of the best in all of college football right now. And he mentioned, when I wanted to get this started, I felt like as a college football fan, I wasn't being served like what I wanted to be served. And there are some awesome, awesome people who cover Virginia Tech. Now, the way that I do it is I'm a fan first. I'm always going to be a fan first. I want to win every game. I'm going to talk positively. I want to uplift the businesses, the people, the community that we have at Virginia Tech. So I've never considered ourselves the media, but it spawned by basically having the same phone call that we all have driving back from games. And it's like, well, what did you think of this? What if we did it done better? It's like we could take this 45-minute conversation and turn it into a podcast. And I kind of hoped one day, man, maybe this will pay for like half of my season tickets. And it was never really about the money. But the coolest thing that's come out of it is reconnecting with people that I probably would have graduated and then never spoke to again, because that's just usually how life works, or meeting people that I don't have a lot in common with. And then that one thing that unites everybody is love of school, love of community. So that's really how we got started. And then from the podcast there, it was just, okay, how can we, one thing, I was bummed out that Virginia Tech didn't have a lot of live music. So I get together with Mayhul and some of the other guys that have tailgates, and it's like, hey, I found this chick who does karaoke in Radford. She can come out and play music. We'll go ahead and get a keg for the game. And you're almost taking those components of things that you like and that you want to add. And we're like, if nobody else will do it, we'll go ahead and do it. And that's kind of how it came to be.
I love the title. First of all, you're telling a lot of times the way you brand. How did Sons of Saturday become Sons of Saturday?
So Patrick, Finn, and I, we went to a football game. We went to the Georgia Notre Dame game in 2019, which, by the way, was an awesome game. And we were like, okay, like if we're gonna do this podcast, the first episode we'll recap this game. And they played Saturday Night's All Right by Elton John, and Sons of Saturday was a playoff of that. Like we were just kind of like riffing on what about Saturday? What about like my idea that I brought to the table? I had like Exit Light Enter Podcast, which is just brutal. Like just so bad. But Sons of Saturday is the one that ended up sticking
cool.
and worked out.
It's terrific. Well, and I know, and I was watching your podcast, and of course the James Franklin story was so big. You had here are the facts, here are the rumors, and you laid it out. So I can tell, and I teach at Full Sail, and I'm teaching for the Dan Patrick School. You did your research. So you know how to research, which a lot of people just shoot for the hip and they don't understand. Before you open your mouth, you better do a little homework.
Well, the big thing for me has always been, three things. I think what's really important, and Coach Foster, this, and again, this isn't a shot at anyone in Virginia Tech. It's
I understand.
It's more of a reflection on media. My rule has always been, I'm not going to say something about a player or a coach or associated with the school that I wouldn't feel comfortable saying directly to them. Like, if a player has a drop and I would tell them that's a drop, I feel good about saying that. Now, the reason that I mention that is there are obviously all of these rumors and different things, and not Coach Foster and not anybody under the NDA, but everybody's telling information, everything along those lines. If you want to go out and find content where it's like, I have heard with a decent amount of credibility that there is a chance that maybe this did happen. It's like, if you want to find that, you can find that. I'm here to provide you with the things that we know to be true. And also I'm going to tell you what my opinion is, and we'll find out what happens from there. So there's plenty of that kind of content. We always try to do things that are a little bit different and genuine, and I can only speak for what my opinions are and what I know to be true or not true.
Yeah, great stuff. We'll go to break here. It's a good place to break because how Billy Ray followed the Franklin story, and we'll talk about his, his sources and what was going on behind the scenes. Bud already told us what was going on. But anyway, NSB Radio Network, Foster and Friends, Billy Ray Mitchell, Sons of Saturday co-founder, is our guest. We'll be right back. This is the NSB Radio Network with Billy Ray and Bud. Stay with us.
And my problem with this is I don't think that we need to know exactly what the process is, or we are owed to know exactly what's going on every single step of the way. But at a bare minimum, it should be publicly known who is in charge, who is overseeing this, who is in charge.
Foster and Friends is presented by Envision, with locations in Christiansburg and Salem, Virginia. Foster and Friends is also presented by the River City Distillery in Radford, makers of Win Vodka.
Foster and Friends, NSB Radio Network. Billy Ray Mitchell is our guest, co-founder of Sons of Saturday. Number 66, played at Virginia Tech, we were just talking about, and a native of, he went to Paramus Catholic, right? Or Paramus Catholic in New Jersey, and played at Tech beginning in 2014. Billy, before, Bud talks to you about the whole Franklin thing. Was your career a good one when you played?
I'll say this, my career was one that I wouldn't change at all. Of course, when you sign on the dotted line, you're like, okay, I'm going to play this many years. I'm going to go hopefully do this much. And I'd be lying if I didn't say when I got to the end of my third year, I medically disqualified at the end of my junior year. And at face value, I kind of felt like it was a failure. I was on special teams a little bit. I think I took 110 career snaps. But I'll never forget this. Coach Hilgart pulled me aside, who was the strength and conditioning coach at the time. And he just told me, he was like, look, man, like you came in here, you did everything that was asked of you. You have the respect of every single one of your coaches. You have the respect of every single one of your teammates. And that's really all I can ask for. And I truly, truly believe that I don't mean to have this come off as a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I feel like I can have more of a positive impact on Virginia Tech and my community doing what I do now than starting 20 or 30 games back in the day. Now, do I wish I did? Yes. Well, Coach Foster, I did my best to give you guys hell on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. One of my highlights of my career was I did get to take scout team tight end Georgia Tech week, and I caught a nice little 30-yard drag, which had me fired up. I did spike the ball after and got yelled at. But
I remember that.
That was a big time moment for BRM. Yeah,
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this, Billy. Different roles and things happen. Like you said, you had to medically retire, but you made an impact because of just how you came to work every day, man. And and your attitude and your demeanor, and that's a big part of it. We challenge our guys, and I'm sure you live your life this way. Is go be the best version of yourself every day. Why not? The only person stopping you is you. And ultimately, though, there's things that can get you sideways from what your ultimate goals are, but that doesn't mean you weren't successful, and didn't grow, and Virginia Tech didn't make an impact on you. And that's
absolutely.
You've done that, and I know you appreciate the opportunity you've had on the field and off the field, and the people you meet. That's what's so cool about the college experience and growing and all those things that, I wish everybody had that kind of experience,
I agree.
Hey, I want to get back to the, as we talking about we're moving towards James Franklin and your sources and things of that nature. You guys, you weren't in charge of Nate Large, were you? Nate was the guy that met me on coming off the plane, which we were supposedly our tail number was blocked. But when I did come back from State College on the Friday before James announced him coming here, there was probably 20 people at the Blacksburg Airport waiting outside for me, and I got that picture with Nate. But that wasn't you guys, was it?
No, that wasn't me. I would never put a tail on you like that at midnight for sure. I had the opportunity to meet Nate at the we were supposed to get together at the basketball game against, I think we were playing Bryant, but we didn't. And then I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. But I mean, the entire saga, Coach, it was just incredible to follow. I wouldn't say sources. It was more so just taking the available and public information and playing that out. And this wasn't necessarily reporting, but I had the benefit of a good friend of mine, Casey Hamrick. He's an Ohio State, a huge Ohio State fan. And uh, 2 Mays ago, the month of May, he goes, I think you guys are going to fire Brent Pry in 2 years, and then Penn State is going to fire James Franklin, and you should go hire him. And I was like, dude, I have
And
a
that was
text, I
2
have a
years
text
ago.
message of this interaction. And I kind of, when the James Franklin rumors came to be, I immediately was like, this is the best opportunity. This is what we need to do. Like, go for it. But I remember when he first told me that, I had gone so long, like not loving Coach Franklin because he's taken all of our recruits. And, so I had a little bit of time to warm up to the idea, but I was surprised at how, number one, many Penn State fans, they're not doing it anymore, were fired up that they got rid of James Franklin. And a small portion of Virginia Tech fans who were like, oh, I don't want to do this. And it's like, well, I don't know how many other better options there are out there. And I want to say this. I think when I look at James Franklin, the one thing that you have to take into mind is at a certain standpoint, a coach's message just becomes stale. Like, unless you're one of the best to ever do it, like, think of John Calipari, think of Jimbo Fisher, think of Dabo Sweeney. All of those coaches are phenomenal coaches. And at a certain point, your message becomes stale and it's time to move on. And I think best case scenario is Penn State ends up better for the move and Virginia Tech ends up better for the move. But it's looking like one of those is it's not trending in that direction right now. But yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Billy, what was the chatter? And Bud and I, Bud couldn't talk about it
Hmm.
with the committee, and I honored that, during the whole process and doing this
Yeah.
show. But what was the chatter about Shane Beamer?
So, this conversation is a difficult one to have because I love Shane.
A
I think
lot of
he's
people, I
such
do
an
too.
awesome.
We talked, yeah.
I think he's such an awesome guy, and I think the chatter around Shane is this simple. It's look, things are a little rocky at South Carolina. He's doing everything he can. And we almost were in a position where Virginia Tech, when they had their opening, Kentucky fans were saying, can you hire Bob Stoops? And South Carolina fans were saying, can you hire Shane Beamer? And we're sitting there in the middle and we're like, I really don't want either one of them, but if I got to take one, I'll take Shane. So look, I think that's kind of where it came from, where it was more of a natural marriage, and it's not even Shane's fault. Like Shane's been pretty transparent in every single time he's had an opportunity to say, "I'm happy at South Carolina. I want this to
Hmm.
work out at South Carolina." It's also fair to say everyone wants to like micro analyze coaches' answers when they're asked if they're staying for a job or interested elsewhere. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what the proper way to answer that question is because it feels like we just crucify anybody who gives any answer and there's no correct way to answer the question.
Hmm.
So I guess you could just pretend you don't hear them and not answer the question. Maybe that'll work. But that's where I think that started and it just kind of got out of control there. I mean, Coach Foster, you all didn't say anything. And then we were talking about candidates like it was fact. We were talking about like not we, but people were talking about it like it was fact. And no way, James Franklin. It's definitely going to be PJ Fleck, right? So it just takes a little bit of a crumb to get people all excited.
That's true, and it's yeah, and we talked about Shane, and yeah, it's I love Shane. He's kind of like a brother or son to me,
Mhm.
and I think he would love to have this job, but we were kind of in that same boat,
Yeah.
with I told this I think even to Mac a couple years ago. Mark Stoops was probably one of my top five coaches was what he had done, but
Mm,
you're right. After a while, it kind of gets the message can get stale, and
mm,
that probably happened to us a little bit with Coach Beamer and
mm.
myself, our regime a little bit, but no, you're right. I mean, when James Franklin became available, I did not hesitate 1 minute to give him a shout.
I'm glad
And
you didn't because I think some other
and
people might have.
I just thought it was going to be, but not realizing you knew Nostradamus. I'm sorry, I would have gone to you right away if I'd have known that. Just we would have had this thing all figured out, and would have avoided all these headaches and
Well,
stuff.
what was fun for me too during the whole process was Bud explained it, which we've talked about the infamous podcast that we had a couple of weeks ago. when Bud told the committee, you guys got to relax a little bit here. Let's not push this. We think we're in good position. And
Yeah.
what I love, the part of the story is they go to dinner at his house. It's right before he announces. And so his Bud's friend who has the plane, and they're having the dinner and spaghetti. And then Bud goes over and goes, now, Frank, everything is good, right, Coach? You're coming to Virginia Tech, right? Bud just wanted to be sure after dessert that Franklin was a go, and it was just such a touching. And knowing Bud the way I know, and we've become really good friends, Billy Ray. It was just great the way that story wrapped up. So
It's funny. It's funny how I've never heard this comparison made, and now I can't stop making it. Chris Partridge, who was my coach in high school, when he was giving his speech at his wedding, he was talking about a lot how falling in love, you need to constantly recruit the person you're in love with. So love and recruiting is very the same. And now it seems like love, recruiting, and hiring is the same because you're like, you ask once, you're like, hey,
that's
you
a
know,
great
if
point.
this is a dating situation. Hey, sweetheart, would you like to go out to dinner? Yes, I would, but maybe next week. You're not going to ask her every single day. How about Monday? How about Tuesday? How about Wednesday? You can't do it that way. You got to play it
No,
cool.
that's well
So
said.
well
No.
done, Coach Foster and friends. Well done.
Billy Ray, that is well said. Well, look, we can't thank you enough, and we're going to promote your show every week too, and just tell people I'm probably going to use it as a kind of a reference for us too. And I've listened to it. You do a great job. Your voice
Thank
is
you.
built for the business. I can say that after 50 years of being in the business. Bud always asks me, "What can I do?" But I go, "Bud, you just be you. You're fine." So anyway, we wish you all the best, and if there's anything we can do for you at this end after your gracious addition for an all of a sudden people from everywhere, latched onto our show, and it just shows the reach that you've had. So
I
congratulations
appreciate it.
and thanks for, spending a few minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do it again. Would love to have you guys on as well. Mac,
Anytime. You are welcome anytime. All right. Billy Ray Mitchell, co-founder of Sons of Saturday, former Virginia Tech offensive lineman and part-time tight end. So anyway, Billy, have a good Christmas. Bud and I'll be back right after this. This is Foster and Friends in the NSB Radio Network. It's Foster and Friends on a championship Saturday, and nobody speaks championship language like Billy Ray. Talking to him on the phone and getting him for a couple of minutes. Bud, you guys have a pretty good relationship, don't you?
Great relationship. He was one of my favorite guys in his time here. Just one of those guys that has a great personality, great work ethic, enjoyed coming to practice every day. Just had brought that energy every day. He just always had a smile on his face too. And just one of my favorite guys. And he's been so good to us with my foundation as well. And, just good heart, good people.
Yeah. And it was so fun to follow him. And just as he said during the interview and following the Franklin thing, and now, when guys, he's being reputable. In other words, what I'm saying, a lot of people start podcasts and start where they really don't know what they're talking about. They don't know how to research. They don't know really how to source. Billy Ray, though, learned right away what he needs to do to make impact in this, if I put it in quotes, this business. And I think Billy Ray's just one of those guys that, he's going to be successful. And I think he's got he's a young guy. He could move up the ladder awfully quickly.
Yeah, great mind, very, just a young guy that's got a great vision. And he's put together an outstanding team. He really has. And so it's been fun to watch them grow. I always look forward to the pictures and the different things that they put out game weekend, and it's a lot of fun. And I tell you this, they hosted an event for us when we played South Carolina in Atlanta, and it was jam packed with a bunch of folks, and there was a lot of fun happening, at that event. So, but just
great.
good people, and Bill, like you said, Billy will be successful whatever he puts his mind to, because he's
All
just
right, as we move into what's going to be a great day, can Indiana upset Ohio State?
I think so. I really do. I'm kind of believing in Indiana right now. The way they played and how they've dominated people, I think there's a good possibility. Not that that's going to affect Ohio State any as far as in the the playoff, but I think Indiana, I think they're legit.
They've only won I think I read they've only won 2 conference titles, and I think their last one was 1967. I think their first one was 1945. I know they went 9-0-1 in 1945. That was the last time they were defeated. So it makes for a great matchup. And the championship Saturday, the whole BYU story with Satake, you said, the corporate guy from Crumble Cookies, which gave me a Christmas idea for you and Jess. But Crumble Cookies stepped up and said, no, well, you're going to stay. You're going to stay right here in Provo. You're not going anywhere. And I just thought, just so this whole dynamic, one thing I'll say real quick, bud, before we go, the calendar needs to be revised, don't you think, for college? All that we're into, signing day, and then, the championship weekend. And I mean, we've got some alterations I think we need to make.
I think there needs to be too. I agree wholeheartedly with all the changes, the coaching changes, the playoffs, how it runs into the second semester, all the different things, and with the portal, and yeah, it does, and eventually it will change, Mac. I just don't know when. I think it'll eventually get more into an NFL type model, but when that happens, we'll find out, I think, in a few years down the road.
Yeah. Well, look, have a good championship weekend, kick back, rest a little bit, and I will certainly catch up with you next week.
Look forward to it. Have a great weekend, my friend.
All right, Bud. For Bud Foster, I'm Mac McDonald. Thanks to Billy Ray Mitchell. And that is Foster and Friends and the NSB Radio Network.
You've been listening to Foster and Friends with former coach Bud Foster. It's brought to you by Envision in Salem and Christiansburg. Eye care, fashion, it's Envision. And by the River City Distillery in Radford, makers of Win Vodka. It's a good day to enjoy a win.
And so the whole argument of should a group of 5 conference be in the playoff at the ACC's expense, you can forget about ever booking a home-and-home game because we could have just scheduled better and had 9 wins, and that would have been very difficult. If we'd have played last year's schedule, we would have had this would be a 9-win team. And it's very similar to me what I heard Sark mention, whether Texas deserves to be in or not. But what's the point of playing Ohio State if people are saying a 3-loss team shouldn't be in the playoff?
Extremely gratifying. It just goes back to all the work we put in January. We all came together for the common goal, and that was our motto. Coach, he said TLC to CLT, team leadership commitment to Charlotte since January, and nobody really believed on the outside but us. So just accomplishing that goal and seeing everybody just so excited in the locker room was extremely a blessing.
I say this about Auburn football and Alabama football, and I say it about Virginia basketball and Virginia Tech basketball. If y'all are good, it's going to force us to be better. So yeah. I want to win that game every single year, but I would love to get to a point where the best game that we play every single year is here in the Commonwealth, and we're playing that game, and there's big stakes.